Today we are working Psalm 7. Psalm 7 is traditionally used by magicians to break a hex, to be vindicated when falsely accused, to ensure a just verdict in court, to overcome any crossed condition, and to stop conspiracies. And today we are going to be focusing our spell on fairness. Anytime that there is something unfair, we can work Psalm 7 to have that righted for us. The way we work psalm magic is very simple and very effective. We take the psalm in question and we speak it out loud all the way through once without stopping. We call this an incantation. Then after we have finished with that, we go back through that same psalm and we take each verse in turn and we search for and dig for hidden occult meanings that lie within each verse. We call those occult meanings magic seeds. And it's through this digging and searching and then also applying what we find there to the situation at hand that we are in effect taking those magic seeds and planting them in the fertile grounds of our deep mind, where they in turn take root, grow, blossom forth, and then bear fruit after their kind. And that's what we are all going to do right now with Psalm number 7. O Lord my God, in thee do I put my trust. Save me from all them that persecute me, and deliver me. Lest he tear my soul like a lion, rending it in pieces, where there is none to deliver. O Lord my God, if I have done this, if there be iniquity in my hands, if I have rewarded evil unto him that was at peace with me, yea, I have delivered him that without cause is mine enemy. Let the enemy persecute my soul, and take it. Yea, let him tread down my life upon the earth, and lay mine honor in the dust. Selah. Arise, O Lord, in thine anger. Lift up thyself because of the rage of mine enemies, and awake for me to the judgment that thou hast commanded. So shall the congregation of the people compass thee about. For their sakes, therefore, return thou on high. The Lord shall judge the people. Judge me, O Lord, according to my righteousness, and according to mine integrity that is in me. O let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end, but establish the just, for the righteous God trieth the hearts and reins. My defense is of God, which saveth the upright in heart. God judgeth the righteous, and God is angry with the wicked every day. If he turn not, he will whet his sword. He hath bent his bow, and made it ready. He hath also prepared for him the instrument of death. He ordained his arrows against the persecutors. Behold, he travelleth with iniquity, and hath conceived mischief, and brought forth falsehood. He made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own pate. I will praise the Lord according to his righteousness, and I will sing praise to the name of the Lord Most High. Reminding ourselves that we're dealing with an unfair situation that we need to bring healing to, we need to bring equity to. O Lord my God, in thee do I put my trust. So when we work magically, we want to remind ourselves that we're not worshiping some external deity. There isn't some sort of capricious God out there that needs us to flatter his ego in order for us to get what we want. It's very different than what a lot of people will consider to be God when they work with prayers such as this. For us, the Lord is the one source of all the universe. You can think of the Force of Star Wars. That gives you an idea. It's pre-gender. It's not a male deity, even though these psalms were written by a patriarchy, so they are written in the masculine. But the truth of what God is beyond that, is pre-gender. We are talking about the one source, the one substance, the one force, the one power in all the universe, and there is no other. Therefore, there is nothing to thwart it. There's nothing to oppose it. One with God is a majority, and if God is for us, no one can be against us. we just orient ourselves to that and understand what that means. And then we can go forth with greater understanding as we set the intention of whatever our spell is. O Lord my God, in thee do I put my trust. When we have faith in the eternal, then the things of the temporal no longer bother us. They don't even affect us. Whatever this problem is, we've already stated that this problem is nothing because we put our faith and our trust in the infinite. Save me from all them that persecute me and deliver me. And that's just the nature of infinite intelligence, to make right that which appears to be wrong, because there is no wrong. There is nothing that's out of harmony in truth. So anything that appears to be out of harmony here is just a matter of an illusion that needs to be rectified. We need to see things differently. And so we're asking that we see things as God sees things rather than the way that we are imagining them to be. Lest he tear my soul like a lion, rending it in pieces while there is none to deliver. It's important for us to acknowledge what we're experiencing in this illusion. If we are feeling unfairly treated, it's as if there's a vicious lion tearing us asunder. Well, it's not God's will that lions tear us asunder. It's not God's will that we be unfairly treated. So when we recognize that since it's not God's will for that to happen, when we turn and trust in the will of God, then God can correct that for us. And that's exactly what it means to be delivered. O Lord my God, if I have done this, if there be iniquity in my hands, if I have rewarded evil unto him that was at peace with me, yea, I have delivered him that without cause is mine enemy, let the enemy persecute my soul and take it. So if this were true, if I deserved this, if I did something to warrant being unfairly treated, then so be it. But you see, your soul can't do anything wrong. Your soul is incapable of treating another person unfairly. But since your soul is incapable of treating somebody else unfairly, so are the people who are treating you unfairly incapable as souls of doing it to you. Therefore, what we have is an illusory experience of ego upon ego, creating drama upon drama, tragedy, atrocity, whatever deviance from infinite intelligence's will is going on within the illusion. But we're recognizing first that in the realm of the infinite, none of this happens. It can't happen. It says, if that's true, let the enemy persecute my soul and take it. Yea, let him tread down my life upon the earth and lay mine honor in the dust. Selah. So when it says Selah, it says take a moment and think about that. It's a pause. It's just take a moment and think about what you just said. Let that sink in. Let it sink in that I can't be unfair to others and others can't be unfair to me. In the grand cosmological scheme of things, yes, within the storyline, there can be unfair treatment. Yes, within this storyline, there can be all kinds of horrible things that seem to happen. But that's because that's how nightmares are. Nightmares are like that. But once you recognize that, yeah, in the nightmare, we're experiencing this, it's important first to understand that all of us are innocent. Each and every one of us, even the really bad people, they're innocent too as souls, because none of this is ultimately happening in the realm where infinite intelligence created us. Arise, O Lord, in thine anger. Lift up thyself because of the rage of mine enemies, and awake for me to the judgment that thou hast commanded. Whew, boy, there's so many things in there. On one hand, it's hearkening back to an ancient understanding of agricultural deities. When it says, arise, O Lord, in thine anger, that's the whole idea of there being seasonal gods of agriculture that arise and then are cut down, and arise and then are cut down. It's also dealing with the idea of the risen consciousness, that risen kundalini, that a rising of enlightenment. So we want God to arise within us And then also on a pragmatic level, it's our way of understanding that infinite intelligence won't do anything until we ask. It's not that God's sleeping and needs to arise. It's that infinite intelligence allows us to be us and to use our minds as we will. And when we come to the realization that by ourselves we don't have any power and that we need to ask for help, then we get the help. But we have to make the first move. So it's saying, "Arise, O Lord, in thine anger." Well, infinite intelligence doesn't get angry, but this is an important poetic understanding that every enemy is of our own making. And infinite intelligence appears to be angry in the face of all of those ego thoughts, in the face of all of those thought forms that cause unfairness and things like that. It appears to those thought forms that God is angry, just like it appears to a dark room that the light is angry when it's turned on. But it's not that God's angry, it's just that it can seem that way to the darkness. "Lift up thyself because of the rage of mine enemies, and awake for me to the judgment that thou hast commanded." The judgment of God is a sorting out process. We want God's judgment because God judges rightly. God knows who you are because God created you, but God also knows who they are because God created them too. Even your so-called enemies. The thing that infinite intelligence does in God's judgment is to say, this is something I created, this is something you made up. This is something I created, this is something you made up. This is true, this is false. This is yes, this is no. And when we allow for infinite intelligence to judge for us, since we are not capable of judging in our present state of understanding, then these things get cleaned up for us. But we allow infinite intelligence's judgment to be the ones in charge because we aren't capable. If it were just up to us to judge the people that are unfairly treating us, we would probably destroy them because we think that they are bad, that they are the problem, when it's really their behavior and the thought forms that are causing that behavior that are the problem and need to be taken care of. "So shall the congregation of the people compass thee about for their sakes. Therefore, return thou on high." The congregation of the people that compass about are the thoughts in your mind. We want infinite intelligence to rise up within us like the risen Kundalini so that it becomes a beacon to those thoughts so that they follow infinite intelligence's bidding and example and instruction and not run amok as they tend to do when there is no direction. We want infinite intelligence to rise up within us and inform and lead the thought forms within our mind. "The Lord shall judge the people. Judge me, O Lord, according to my righteousness and according to mine integrity that is in me." A lot of people that read the Psalms have a different idea of what that verse means. A lot of people will think, well, that's following the law of the Torah. That's my righteousness. And the New Testament people will say, yeah, but we don't do that anymore. We just think of God's righteousness. We don't think either way when we think of this magically. When we think about this magically, we say, "Judge me according to my righteousness," meaning according to the way you created me. You created me righteous. There's nothing wrong with me. There's no problems with me. I'm not lacking in anything. I am righteous. I'm not defective in any way. I don't have missing pieces. I don't have gaps. But I don't know that because I'm judging myself and judging other people based upon the illusions of this world that we find ourselves in. But infinite intelligence doesn't have any of those limitations that we do. So we want infinite intelligence to judge us according to our righteousness that infinite intelligence created for us. And according to mine integrity that is in me. In other words, if everything that is integral to you is already there. You don't need to go out and get more stuff. You don't need to change yourself. You don't need to find new things. You don't need to to grow new muscles, so to speak. You were created perfect, and there's nothing missing in you. And we won't know that unless we have God's judgment, it's saying, because infinite intelligence has the vantage point that we don't have. So infinite intelligence, we can just say, please do this for me, because I don't know how. Once you recognize how integral you are, once you recognize how perfect you are, then you're not vulnerable to being unfairly treated any longer. That's not even a thing anymore. You can't be unfairly treated. It's impossible. Oh, let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end, but establish the just, for the righteous God trieth the hearts and reins. When God tries the hearts and reins, it doesn't mean that God is testing you. That means that God says, give this a try, give this a spin. Give your soul a spin. Get on the horse and you'll see everything works. You'll see you're fine. Go for it. Go for it. You go out there and do these things that I'm telling you to do. You've got this. That's how he tries the reins. It's not that he's testing you. It's not that God is testing you. It's God is saying, you test it. Come on. You can do this. I know you've got this. And when it says, oh, let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end, it means evil always destroys itself. Not because it's bad and therefore it must be punished. It's because it's nothing and it never existed in the first place. So that's why evil destroys itself, because the lie stays within the realm of a lie. And when the truth is revealed to you, then the lies no longer exist. Just like the darkness doesn't exist when the light is on. My defense is of God, which saveth the upright in heart. This is always the most important part of these kinds of psalms. God is my defense. I don't need to be defensive. I don't need defenses. When I try to defend myself, it's an attack. When I try to defend myself, I attack. It's not that I'm trying to attack. It's just that I don't have it within me to defend myself in this particular time-space continuum, because I don't have the vantage point that infinite intelligence does. But infinite intelligence already knows who I am, judges me rightly, understands who I am as a soul, and therefore recognizes that I don't need to be defended. I don't have that vantage point. So I'm always going to be caught up in the drama here if I'm not careful. So instead, I'm going to let infinite intelligence be my defense. And when infinite intelligence is my defense, then I never have a problem. I never have the problem because I'm not doing it myself anymore. I don't need to defend myself because infinite intelligence already defends me and saves me. God judgeth the righteous, and God is angry with the wicked every day. God's not pissed off. You bad, wicked person, you're going to go to hell. It's not that. It's that from the point of view of darkness, light seems angry. But you're not wicked. Neither are they. Neither are the people causing you problems. Nobody's wicked. The only wickedness is the lies. The only wickedness is the nightmare, the illusory nature of the ego mind. And so in that regard, God destroys the wicked and destroys the ego, but only from the point of view of how like we said before so many times, that the darkness is, quote, destroyed when you turn the light on. If he turn not, he will whet his sword. He hath bent his bow and made it ready. That just means that you don't have to instruct God how to take care of the darkness in your life. You don't have to instruct God and hope that God gets it right. God already knows who you are. God already knows what will make you happy. God already knows how to make you and keep you safe. You don't have to worry that God's going to forget about you, lose your file, as Marianne Williamson used to say. God's not going to lose your file. He hath also prepared for him the instruments of death. He ordaineth his arrows against his persecutors. Very dramatic war in heaven here, where God is destroying the wicked with all of these things. And this is a very ancient and dramatic way of saying the very simplest thing, that in the presence of light, darkness cannot exist. Behold, he travaileth with iniquity, and hath conceived mischief, and brought forth falsehood. That's the ego. That's our own ego mind. And we are all, quote, guilty of this over and over and over again. So if you are being unfairly treated, it's saying here, if you are being unfairly treated in this world, you are experiencing a projection of your own mind. And so many people say, oh no, I didn't have anything to do with that. I'm just the victim here. Okay, you might be, and I'm not trying to victim shame or victim blame. Yes, you might be being victimized, but on a metaphysical level, all the places where we are victimized are reflecting back to us our own sense of inferiority, our own sense that we are not divine. That's why we need God's judgment, because we don't have it within ourselves to see ourselves as we really are as souls. We've been so poorly taught here about who we are. We need this divine judgment to come and show it for us. But ultimately what we want is we want to recognize that in eternity, we cannot be unfairly treated. It's impossible. And therefore, once we really get down to that understanding and we have infinite intelligence prove that to us, then all of these unfair treatments seem to disappear. He made a pit and digged it and has fallen into the ditch which he made. It's again the same idea of evil destroying itself in a different way. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own pate. And that's why it's important that you be careful of the kinds of thoughts that you harbor about other people, because those are the things that come back to you. Yeah, we want these problems to be reversed onto other people, but then at the same time, we don't want to take responsibility for our own thoughts and the way that we have judgments against other people and the way we have hatreds and the way that, that we think horrible thoughts about other people at times. Those things come back on us as well. So therefore, it's important for us to realize that we're not perfect here. We're perfect in the realm of infinite intelligence. We were created perfect, but how we interact here, we're not perfect either. So we can't expect to bring judgment on the people that are doing what appears to be evil to us and expect to be safe, because we don't understand. But infinite intelligence's judgment can be brought on those situations, and we are safe because we realize that ultimately, on a real deep level, everybody's ultimately innocent, even the people that are causing us problems. I will praise the Lord according to his righteousness, and will sing praise to the name of the Lord Most High. So now we're recognizing that the reason why we're righteous is because we were created by righteousness itself. So infinite intelligence's righteousness is who we are, because we are like a beam of light from a central star. And since infinite intelligence is righteous, so are we. But then again, so are they. If we aren't willing to understand that they were created by infinite intelligence as well, then we're putting ourselves in harm's way by having a judgment against them, because then we are calling back to ourselves the same problems that we are wishing upon them, even though we feel righteous about the fact that they're the ones that are the problem. Do you see? So infinite intelligence will take care of this for us, absolutely. But it's not up to us to judge them. It's up to us to turn to the righteousness of infinite intelligence, claim our own righteousness, and then also claim their righteousness as well. So you just keep coming back to the psalm again and again, and you'll get a sense of peace and certainty that all is working out just the way it's supposed to. When you get that sense of peace and certainty, you know that your spell has been cast, and you can stop casting. You don't have to come back to it anymore. You can move on to something else. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Until next time, blessed be.